what would be the current earthquake considerations then? We're just looking at Portland and the Willamette Valley. Well, the Willamette Valley is made of loose soils, gravels, sands, silts. And what happens is that it operates like a bathtub. So a normal earthquake will come and the waves will dissipate out like throwing a rock into a pond. But you have two mountain ranges and all this loose material. What they say was the wave will come hit here, come back, hit here, back and forth. So you're going to have some amplification of any activity. They're expecting a 9 or a 10. And the big problem is that a lot of people are lulled into thinking nothing's going to happen, although there have been a lot of minor quakes that have gone on over the years. The spring break quake of 1993. And the problem is that the subduction zone that we're discussing, the Cascadia subduction zone, has been locked up for 300 years and it's ready to go. So it's not a good story. It goes all the way from Seattle to Portland. Why is this a concern to me? Let's look at infrastructure again. Forget all the bridges that cross and the loose gravel. Let's just look at the dams again. These are all dams. One in particular concern is here in Oregon City. There's another dam up here, up on the Clackamas River. Guess where Mount Hood is again? Right up here. And where was my cluster earthquakes? Right up here. And that dam leads right into a major metropolitan area. Again, the infrastructure. So if we're going to plan to build for the future, we've looked at just 3 of the things that the environment has been telling the pioneers and is telling us we need to consider in order to safeguard a community and build for the future. And it's important then to understand the history, to understand about earthquakes, about volcanoes, about boring lava fields, and so much more when we're designing and building and redesigning. Because we have to understand those things and the history in order to design or redesign something that makes sense. So we're not Louisiana and we're sitting there building a dam or a levee or a dike that's just going to fail again and again. And we also need to have a good emergency response plan. How we plan, redesign, and make a contingency really does make a difference to communities. It's time for us to begin to think and make intelligent design. So, what questions do you have?
Is that boring lava field, is that some guy's name or is that just a term?
A boring lava field is a term because the lava bores up through the earth, and it is a field. And the other one's in New Zealand.
So it's not just that it's boring, like yawner.
No.
I'll ask some annoying question. Okay.
I thought it was
Challenging question, or maybe.
Yes, the challenging question.
Okay.
Yes.
Since I have some background regarding the hydropower plant design, things like that, and typically if you build a dam, you need to do serious study, include earthquake study, seismic, quick. So whoever design this dam, they already consider the earthquake stronger they can think about in this region. So why do you worry about so much about the dam?
Okay, this is a good question. So Long has asked me a question about why would I consider worrying about the dam, because according to what he understands, there's earthquake studies that are done before a dam is built. So Long, this was built during the Great Depression in order to keep people working. It was built by the WCA project. There wasn't that kind of study done in those days. It was done in the 30s. Yes. So what engineering you get to have today and that kind of benefit was not the kind of engineering that put many of the dams here in the United States in. Now they've done some retrofitting and things for the dam now. But again, it's a very valid question that it's a different Army Corps of Engineers back then in the 30s than it is today. Are there any other questions, Nicole?
I guess I have a question. I guess to put Salong's question into another perspective, how many dams did you say were in that region?
And the Columbia River region, I haven't got a head count. I mean, we can go back and look at that slide.
No, just,
There's
did
like
you say
7
100?
or so up there. Chief Joseph Dam, the St. John's, not St. John's, the Dalles Dam. There's many dams all the way up the Columbia River.
That are close to a volcano or close to a region that would experience some seismic activity.
Well, the interesting thing about the entire Columbia River, and if you don't mind me going ahead, and you've asked this question, so let's just go ahead and look at the slide, because we can't really discuss it too much without taking a look. Is when you're looking at the Columbia River, here is my volcanoes, which run here. So the Columbia River quickly departs and heads on up here. See Chief Joseph, Grand Coulee, et cetera, et cetera. But the interesting thing is, and I do want to point this out very clearly, is this whole area is seismic. If you drive along the Columbia River Gorge, you're going to see huge plates jutted up like this. And the earthquake of 1872 was located up in this area, and it was felt in 5 states.
So if I look at that map, I'll see maybe about anywhere from 20 to 30 dams that you have identified there.
Right? I was
Okay.
talking about the federal ones.
How long ago would you say those, in general, those dams were built? Would you say they were built 50 years ago, 100 years ago?
I don't know the history of all of those dams. I'm afraid that I couldn't tell you all of that. I know that several of them were built during the Great Depression, but many of them were built after the fact. So.
Okay, so what would be, how many of those dams that were built have failed because of seismic activity?
Currently, none of these dams have failed because of seismic activity, because we are undergoing a period of relative quiet. And my entire point is, quiet does not necessarily mean that it's safe. It means that the subduction zone, where the plates are going under the cascade, has been locked up for 300 years. There's a lot of pressure building. And again, earthquakes go with rapidity. 1872 was the last time there was a large one there. And that was obviously something that made it into all these pioneer newspapers. That was very, very significant. So there have been minor quakes, but nothing to my knowledge that has caused any dam failure.
And what would be the life expectancy of a dam?
Again, I can't answer that particular question. Each dam is different, and the Army Corps is very attentive to them. Again, it's just design considerations that we need to make when we're building